Hey guys, it's Chris back again with yet another top 10 recommendations video. And the genre for today is going to be 2D shoot 'em ups. And it was very hard to choose these top 10 because I do have quite a few of them. And I do love them all in different ways, but I had to pick my favorites. So let's get it started. And I should preface this with saying that I'm not good at any of these shoot 'em ups. I'm terrible at them, so my recommendations are based on how much enjoyment I got out of like the art style, the gameplay, stuff like that. Not how balanced they are or how little input lag they have or all the technical stuff. Alright, with that being said, let's get it started. So, first up let's just grab this one. So this is Darius, and this is the HD version of it. I do like quite a lot of the Darius games. Darius Burst on PS4 is pretty good. Darius Gaiden on Sega Saturn is cool. But to me, this is the art style I like the most. I like that 32-bit, like pixelated polygon look that this has. The environments are very cool. I like how they use the 3D during this era. The thing is, they were experimenting with 3D at this time, so they kind of went all out with trying to take advantage of the 3D graphics, and I really like how this looks as a result. The cool thing about this series is it has branching paths, so you can play it multiple times and see different stages throughout your plays. And the enemy design is kind of cool. It's all like aquatic type animals, as you can see on the front there. But you can also get this game, which I originally had it on this collection, the Taito Legends 2 collection, and this also has Darius Gaiden on it as well. So yeah, Darius Gaiden is really good, so I would recommend that one as well, but I'd say Darius is my favorite one. Alright, next up, got another one that I didn't really get into till recently. I always wanted to try it on the Sega Saturn, but it was very expensive at the time, and that is Battle Ikaruga. Yeah, I finally got the re-release on PS4, and I enjoy this quite a bit. The thing I like the most about this is definitely the style. It's kind of got more of a grounded warfare type of look to it, almost like World War II planes, you know, prop planes almost, mixed with more sci-fi. There's a lot of just ballistic weapons, which is really cool. It's not all like lasers and sci-fi. Although there are secret ships in this that are kind of sci-fi looking. But yeah, this is all 2D graphics. The sprite scaling is really awesome in it, which I like quite a bit. I like the destruction of the enemy vehicles. You can break them apart. It reminds me of like a mix of 1942, Ryden, and maybe Ikaruga or something. But yeah, this is really stylish. It's not the most crazy bullet hell type shooter, but it feels really strategic with less bullets, but it's still very hard. Like, I think the bullets might have really insane tracking or something. There's just, despite not having as many bullets as some of the other ones I'm going to show, it's still very hard. But yeah, I like how the power-up system works. You build up ammunition for your special weapon, and you can either unleash a bunch of the smaller munitions or the larger munitions and do a bigger, wider attack. But yeah, I'd highly recommend this one. I'm not sure how you find it anymore. I would, you know, maybe emulate it on Sega Saturn. I'm not sure if this was on PC. It might have been. But yeah, I recommend Battle Ikaruga quite a bit. Alright, since we just mentioned it, let's show my favorite in the Ryden series, and that is Ryden IV. This is the, what is it called, the X Mikado remix, and I also have it on the original Xbox 360 version. Now, I was trying to pick between this, the original, which I don't own, and Part 5. 5 is cool, but I didn't like how they emphasized the story too much during the gameplay. Like, the anime characters are constantly yapping during it, and you can't turn it off. You can mute the voice volume, but, you know, then you miss the story as well, so it's like, they should have just not had them talking during the gameplay. And there's just something, like, about this gameplay I like a little bit more. It's more simplistic than 5, but I like how it's more zoomed in with the screen. It makes it more visually appealing to me. You know, this series in general is pretty simplistic, but there are complexities to it, such as the weapon power-up system. You know, the game really only has a shoot button and a bomb button, but it's all about like what order you pick up the power-ups. The power-ups will float around and change colors as they're floating. You kind of have to wait and strategically grab the right color to power up that color of weapon. So it does have some strategy there, but I played the original. It was either Ryden 1 or 2 in the arcade, and I quite enjoyed it because I liked how the enemy ships would actually crash into the ground and explode, and like the tanks on the ground would blow up and leave a flaming crater. And they kind of carried that over into the newer games as well. So yeah, I'd say go with Ryden 4. It's one of my favorites. Alright, let's start next with, we'll start with this one. One of my favorite shoot 'em up series. I'd say, yeah, this is definitely my favorite shoot 'em up series, and that is RType, and this is RType III, which is definitely up there. Probably my second favorite one. There's a bunch of RTypes on this list, but RType III is very well balanced. It was a huge improvement over Super RType on the Super Nintendo, which was kind of a port of RType 1 and 2 with some new levels. But this was its own Super Nintendo exclusive. It cleaned up all the slowdown that Super RType had. It made the difficulty more fair, and it really took advantage of all the graphical features of the Super Nintendo. There's even some stages with like semi 3D polygon looking backgrounds, which is cool. But yeah, this is just very good sprite graphics, very good use of the SNES hardware, awesome fucking music. You gotta go listen to the soundtrack of this one because it's really good. And this is one of the few I sat down and actually conquered and got all the way through, because R-type games are really tough to get all the way through, because you can't really quarter feed to get through these, because you start back at a checkpoint every time you die. So you really have to buckle down and learn these games to be able to beat them. And I did beat this one only on the first loop. I think you get a true ending on the second loop of this, which I just didn't have the patience for yet, but I did beat the first loop. So yeah, definitely recommend RType III. Alright, let's see. I guess we'll switch to another kind of competing series of R-type back in the day, and that is Gradius, specifically Gradius 5 on the PS2, I think is the best one ever made. Gradius 3 is pretty good as well. I enjoyed that quite a bit on the Super Nintendo. The arcade version is a little better than the Super Nintendo version of 3, but 5 was made by Treasure, the people who did Radiant Silvergun, Ikaruga, all that. So you see a little bit of their DNA in the gameplay. It's a bit more bullet hellish than the other Gradius games. The use of the 3D graphics as well on the PS2 was very well done. If you play this on an emulator in HD, all the art assets hold up really well. Yeah, it's just got some crazy stages in it. I like all the weapon power-ups, how they look visually. There's an awesome stage where you're going through an asteroid field, and there's just asteroids bouncing off each other and filling the screen, and you're trying to destroy them as you navigate through it. It's very cool. It's one of those games I like to actually play on the hardest difficulty, because the chaos of all the shit on screen is just so awesome. Such a visual treat, and definitely the music as well is awesome in this. I would definitely tell you to check out the soundtrack for this one and give it a try, Gradius 5. Alright, and since we brought up Treasure, next one I'll show is Radiant Silvergun. You can see I have the Saturn version and the new Switch port. I started with the Saturn version, the import, and it was pretty pricey when I bought it. I think it was like $200, $250, something like that. And it has dropped in value because of this version come out, but I got quite a bit of enjoyment out of this. To me, this is probably one of the top 3 shoot 'em ups ever made, just because it has RPG elements in it, which is very cool. It's got a nice story, which you can either play with the story or without the story. The weapon system is very cool, how each button is dedicated to a different weapon, so you can instantly switch between any tactics you want. And the main attraction is the sword on the ship that swipes around it to eat up the bullets. And once you fill up the meter with bullets, you can do a big like sword clap attack across the whole screen. I really like this this like steelbook edition I got. Very cool looking steelbook, as you can see. It's got the classic artwork on there. But yeah, I would recommend playing this any way you can. I think it's on multiple systems now, so if you want one of the best shoot 'em ups ever made, go for this one. Right, getting down. We'll switch it up again, and we'll go back to the RType series. What do you think another favorite of mine is? Well, let's go with this one. RType Delta. This might be my favorite RType. Like Darius, it's got that 32-bit polygonal style with the, the pixelated textures on them. And it's, like I said, it's during that era where the developers were really excited about 3D. So they really tried to take advantage of the background being in 3D with having enemies like fly in from the background and stuff. This had multiple ships, just like RType III did, to choose from, which was cool. But yeah, it's a very fair difficulty, but it is hard. It takes quite a bit of practice, kind of like RType III. Really, this isn't like an expansion of kind of what they introduced with RType III, but bringing it into full 3D. And I absolutely love the stage. I forget its name, but it's in a city. I did a little run of that game like I don't know, a few months ago, or a run of that stage on RType Final 3. And that's the cool thing about RType Final 3 is it's got stages from this as DLC. I was tempted to put RType Final 3 on this list, but you know what I picked? We'll bring up the next one. I'm going to have to go with RType Final 1 as far as my favorite RType Final game. RType Final 2 and 3 are very good, but to me, this one's more classic. This is the one I played the most. I mean, I think maybe RType Final 3 is the best version technically and gameplay-wise, but this has more classic music, more classic story, more classic setting. I think originally this had more ships to unlock as well than Final 3 and 2. But that might have changed now with the DLC. But the only real downside of this one is it has quite a bit of slowdown, which can be detrimental to the game. You can circumvent that by playing this in emulator. But yeah, the cool thing about this is you can grind up to get so many different ships. How many are in this? It's over 100 ships. I think it's like 103 or 105 different ships you can unlock. And the variety of weapons on those ships is just completely insane. I think I do like RType Delta more than Final, but this just has such value to it. I played the crap out of this. I just hate this cover. It's like, it's Eidos Fresh Games. For some reason, Eidos published this, and they put it in some Fresh Games line, so it's got this ugly yellow banner on it. But yeah, the main attraction is definitely how many ships there are and just being able to grind up on the stages to unlock new ships. But yeah, I recommend both of these, RType Delta and RType Final, or the Final 2 and 3 is good as well. Alright, we're down to the last two. I guess we'll go with this one first. I was having trouble picking between a cave shooter to pick as my favorite. It was kind of a tie between Dodonpachi and this one, but I went with this one just because it has a better style to me, and that's Mushii Sama. And I do like the gameplay in Dodonpachi, but the art style is just kind of generic spaceships with you fighting big anime girls for bosses at the end. I like this because you're fighting giant bugs and giant plants, which I think is a bit more interesting. The bugs gives it almost like a Starship Troopers flavor, but with flying, you're like a fucking flying anime girl blowing up bugs. It's very crazy, like cave shooters are known for. It's more bullet hell. There's shit everywhere on screen. This has some really cool extras. There's an extra mode that adds even more projectiles, which I always like. Even though I suck at these games, I love the absurdity of the whole screen filling with bullets and you just having to navigate this tiny hitbox through all the bullets. And yeah, it's very cool graphically. The sprites look awesome. The animation, the layered backgrounds, everything about it is cool. So yeah, I definitely recommend this one, Mushii Sama. Alright, last one, and this is probably a favorite of a lot of people. I suck at this game, but I can't not recognize its awesomeness, and that is Ikaruga. I've got the Switch port here, and this was my original version I had on GameCube. And there it is. I know your frothing demand for this game is only increasing, but yeah, I mean, it's very cool. It's treasure made, but I feel Radiant Silvergun is better than this one. But I think people like this one more because it's shorter and more tightly packed and balanced. But I like it quite a bit. It's cool how you flip between black and white color on your ship to absorb bullets. Or, you know, if there's a black ship, you switch to the white color so you can do more damage to him. But then you open up, you know, getting hit by his black bullets. Whereas if you use the black ship against another black ship, you do less damage, but you're impervious to most of his bullets. But yeah, it's very cool gameplay. I suck very much at it, but there's some really crazy gameplay out there. Look up the the guy who played this 2 players with 2 hands. It's just insane. It's like Japanese level of difficulty. Yeah, it's kind of weird that this one was published by Atari back in the day, or the Atari. But this one was Nicalis, which is kind of their newer publisher, I guess. I'm not sure if Treasure still exists, to be honest. All you really get is ports, and I don't know how many of the developers are even like still working, but someone obviously owns the rights to these games. So yeah, I'm sure you guys have heard of this one, so I would highly recommend this as well. But that is it for my 2D shoot 'em up collection. Hope you guys enjoyed. As always, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know in the comments below what your favorite shoot 'em ups are, why you like them, and maybe any suggestions you have for a future top 10 video. Let me know, and I'll consider it. But you guys have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Alright, peace out.